M is for Mason.
G is for Graham.
B for Betcha.
This is the MGB Wrestling Podcast, the podcast with PG-rated material accessible to wrestling fans of all ages.
My name is Graham Bagshaw, and my co-host and creator of this podcast is proof that wrestling fans live with their parents. My 10-year-old son, Mason. So, this is episode A4 of the MGB Wrestling Podcast. This is our special episode. This is from Threat of Joy on May the 11th, 2018. It was streamed live on Powerbomb TV, and it was from the Annandale Volunteer Fire Department in Annandale, Virginia. This one was an early start. This one, doors opened at 6:30. Pre-show was at 7, and then the main show started. Actually, it turned out to be 8:15. And the reason it started early was so they could do the hour promo on Powerbomb TV to try and get some more viewers on board, I guess. All right, Mason, do you want to talk about what happened at the start?
So, while we were waiting in the waiting room, we saw inside, looked at the wrestlers, what they were doing before their matches, and we talked to some people. We talked to the security, which was the gated community with security shirts.
We did, yep.
And we talked to Ed.
Yep, Teflon Dom.
Yep,
we talked to him. I actually thought, there was a few things I noticed when we got there. First of all, when we got there, last time we couldn't even get in through the outer doors because there were so many people there. This time, we were front. We were like the third people in there. We just walked straight to the front. And we had front row seats for this one, so we knew where to stand and everything. But yeah, it was really quiet. I know there was an hour earlier, and I did wonder if some people couldn't make it as early as that. I'm lucky as a high school teacher, I finished at 2 o'clock. So I could easily make it for that one. But yeah, I actually felt a Pardon Over Pro for this one.
Yeah.
There was people who we knew, people who wanted to say hi to us. The Ugly Ducklings came and said hi to us. The gated community. It was cool. Shook our hands, and yeah, I felt part of the Nova Pro community for this one. I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, really quiet. I was really surprised by that. Now, I don't know if you're going to add anything, but there's one other thing that I noticed about you, a quote that you said that you might have forgotten then.
I don't remember.
All right, so you did notice, and I don't know really if we should be saying this or not. The Ugly Ducklings were outside smoking.
Oh, yeah.
And you did comment, that's bad for their health. Now, I don't know if you've noticed from their matches, the way they treat their bodies, I don't think they look after their bodies that much anyway. I think that's one of their things. That's probably one of the safer things that they do, smoking. I haven't seen some of their matches that they do. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cute that you were interested and you were concerned for them. So we waited around for a little bit. We got there, I think it was about 6:15, somewhere around that. I was surprised how traffic was pretty good for Nova on a Friday evening. But yeah, we got there pretty quick. So we had to wait around 10-15 minutes. There was a lot of people in that ring.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can remember who was in there.
Yeah, I thought I saw CM Punk in there, but it wasn't.
If you saw that, I definitely missed that. That would have been a heck of a booking right there. I'm trying to remember who I saw. I certainly saw Logan in there.
Yeah, I saw Logan.
I saw Yuta Wheeler.
Yeah, Yuta. We saw Allie,
of
Christi,
course.
Jordynne.
Yep. But yeah, it was interesting how they were sort of showing how they would set up their moves, and obviously they're planning key parts of that, but to have so many people in there. And the part that I forgot as well, the refs were there as well. And I guess they have to be. Like, if you're planning a move where the ref, it's important you don't see this, or ref, it's important you do see this, that I guess that's important that they're part of that as well. So, actually, thinking about it, I think there was more people inside than outside.
Yeah, the only people we didn't see was, like, the first match. Because they had to be getting ready, put all their clothing on, and all that stuff.
Yeah, and there was 12 matches on there, so there was a lot of people that sort of needed to get a little practice in, I guess, before they started. And then before they let us in, they did actually say, all right, everybody needs to go to the back.
We heard that on the microphone.
And the microphone was good. That was one of my criticisms in the last one, that the microphone's not been very good, and the audio's not been great, and you can't hear. I could hear from the outside this time.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a lot better. I don't know. I'd like to think that our quote made some sort of difference. It might just be that Annandale's a little bit better. But we've been to that one before, and I've not been able to hear there. But no, I thought it was good. Actually, I wonder if Powerbomb TV, perhaps it was their equipment. I didn't think about that until just now. But yeah, it definitely made a difference. And if you're going to stream for people like that, you definitely have to have good quality audio, and that did make a difference. So the doors opened at 6:30. So we had half an hour before the first match was going to start on the pre-show. So what did we manage to get done in that little time, Mason?
We got done. We went straight to the gated community table.
We
got the Tim Donst picture. and we went to Tim Donst's table, and we got a picture with that.
Yeah, we did. We saw that the gated community posted that. They have their playing cards, and I know I posted those on Twitter. And we've been buying a few of those recently. We bought one in the previous one, and then we bought 3, I think, at the last one. So we've been buying a lot of those to try and get your collection. I think that was your 10th one today, actually.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, 10th one on Friday. And I think it was the King of Hearts. I think it's my favourite picture of all. It's got a lot of colour on it. Tim's got all his safety stuff there. There's like the safety sign, and he's got his... He's got the traffic cone there. He's got like all the little warning stuff that you associate. Hard hat. And I thought it was really good. And yeah, luckily Tim was out there right at the start. So we went straight across to him and said, can you autograph? And he said, yeah, great guy. He gave you a t-shirt on a previous one when you actually dressed up as him. And that was actually your profile picture on Twitter until Friday. Our current picture for you actually now on the MGB Wrestling podcast is you with Tim holding that card. And I saw actually yesterday somebody asked, they're like, whoa, where'd you get that signed promo from? I got to get me one of those. So I did reply on Twitter. I think you need to talk to the gated community. But they are really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, and what after Tim Donst?
We went to Jonathan Gresham, and we got his picture and autograph.
We did, and I actually really wanted his last time as well, but we spent quite a bit of money already on those cards last time. So luckily he still keeps coming back. And a big wrestler, I'm going to say, we didn't know at the start when we first saw Jonathan Gresham that he was a Ring of Honor person. And I think actually the first Ring of Honor show that we watched, it was like, whoa, Jonathan Gresham's there. So, yeah, that was really cool. He was sat there. It was quiet because there wasn't many people in at that time, so it was the perfect time. You got a picture and you got an autograph. We wanted Jordynne Grace there, but she had her stuff set out, but she wasn't signing autographs at that time. She wasn't there. I did actually see on Twitter a little bit later, Jonathan Gresham and Jordynne Grace, because they go out together, and they were actually at Gravelly Point. They actually had a picnic before the Nova Pro.
Oh.
Now, a lot of people aren't going to know what the Gravelly Point is. Can you remember what Gravelly Point is? Because we've been there many times.
Yeah, it's where the airplanes fly over near DC.
Yeah, it's they're on Reagan Airport, and it's the DC airport. And you can park there, and you can get really close. The airplanes fly over your head, and that's what you used to think when you were little. Jackson's been there too, and it's really loud, but it's really cool being so close to the airplanes. So yeah, they had a little picnic there ahead of time before their match, which I thought was kind of a cool place as well. So we hang out at the same place that Jonathan Gresham and Jordynne Grace do as well. So, 7 o'clock was the first match, and the first match was an 8-man tag team match. Mason, do you want to talk about who was in this?
So, it was Big Beef, Jake Garvin, Isaiah Frazier, Misha Mercenary, and the Masked Villain with Coach Gator versus Josh Fuller, Matt Buckler, and the Mason-Dixon line.
It is, and we've seen some of these before. And do you want to talk about, first of all, what you had for this match, and then I'll jump in?
I had, at the start, we were right front row, right in front of the camera where they're filming, and Misha Mercenary, part of the Sandwich Squad.
Mercenary.
Yeah, Mercenary.
Mercenary is somebody who's like, I guess somebody you hire to kill people. But it's not quite in that sense for this one, I don't think.
And Big Beef and Misha, he said to Big Beef, do you like beef? And he said, no. Yeah, something like that. And then he said, yeah, I like beef. I'm Big Beef. And then he said, do you like sandwiches? And then Big Beef said, yeah, I love sandwiches. And then they were best friends because they both like sandwiches. And Big.
Is that part of that Sandwich Squad? Is that what that is? Or is that two different people?
Misha's part of the Sandwich Squad.
Okay.
But
Big Beef's not. Okay, that's what I thought. I knew one of them was, but I wasn't 100% sure. Particularly with them wearing the masks as well. Some of those masks look pretty similar. Anything else?
Yeah, the match was really good. Josh Fuller, obviously. He's a great heel. Yeah,
he always seems to get that first match.
Yeah.
It's funny that they always seem to have that first match. No, I actually looked to see if that was true. They did actually have a fourth match once. In the last 4 meetings, they do appear first quite, but once they did actually appear fourth, which that kind of threw me a little bit. I always expect, as soon as it says we're going to start, I'm always thinking, all right, get ready, here comes Fuller. All right, so I got some things for this match. Now, you actually, as soon as you got in, you snapped your pencil. So you were going to take notes, and you snapped your pencil, and you tried putting the lead back inside, which didn't work.
No, I put the lead back in, and then I put it in my duck for safekeeping, and then the duck has like a whole bunch of holes.
And
you
lost the lead.
The lead fell.
All right, I didn't know that part of it. I had another pencil in the the car, I think. But anyway, so you do it from memory sometimes anyway, because you took a pad before and then not really written much. And I tend to take more notes because that's just me. That's how I do things. So, yeah, I took a few notes for this one. Isaiah Frazier was the person who started, and he was the most dominant character in this one, because he actually faced all 4 members of the other team. So, Josh Fuller started, and then I think they tagged in one of the Mason-Dixon brothers. I don't remember which one. And then Mac Buckler came in, and the other did. So he was in it for quite a lot from the start. And then I put the guy from the Sandwich Squad who was next. So that was the Meteor Mercenary, and I couldn't remember his name at the time. Lots of quick tags in this, but there had to be. There was 8 people in this. And you know this match is going to go. Now we know these matches are going to go under 10 minutes.
Yes.
So in my head, I'm like, they don't have long, so it would make sense they had quick tags. But that was good. Those quick tags made it kind of exciting. Everyone was fresh. You got somebody new in there, and it really kept it going. Fuller House and Mason-Dixon line were, of course, doing a lot of cheating, and they were actually on our side of the ring, so we could see exactly what was going on.
Yeah.
And Big Beef did come around and try and sort that out a little bit. Isaiah Frazier had a spinning powerbomb, which looked like that was going to be the win, but Mac Buckler broke it up. It's really difficult when you've got 3 other people on the outside of the ring. You're pretty much sure one of them's going to break up something. And in the end, actually, Isaiah Frazier did get the pin on Josh Fuller. What a surprise. And actually, it was a kind of short match. It wasn't even 10. I think it was like 6 minutes in the end, or 7 minutes. So it was a fairly quick one. The one moment I had from the minute, which I thought was awful, they had 2 people in the middle. 2 of the bad guys. I'm going to say bad guys in the middle there, and I don't remember which 2 it was. And then they had the 2 good guys on the opposite corner from each other. And the idea was they were going to run to the middle and sort of sandwich them in the middle. I don't know if
it was Big Beef and Micha.
So it was like they were making like a literal human sandwich.
Yeah, because they're both like sandwiches.
Correct. And it didn't work at all. The guys stepped aside. They both ran into each other. It was both of the
Mason-Dixon.
Oh, it was both the Mason-Dixon. And they both stepped away and they just ran into each other. And that was... I like my comedy moments, but that one was kind... Even if it had worked, I don't think it would have hurt them just as much as the other guys, I think.
But Micha's a big guy, and so is Big Beef, and, like, they would actually squish them.
I guess so. So, yeah, actually, I did write down 6 minutes and 38 seconds. I was going to ask you how long it was. I was surprised it was that short. It didn't seem that short to me when I was watching it. But... All right, I did get some things from Twitter. Big Beef actually commented after the match, killed it at VA Wrestling. I cannot get over that crowd, making me feel like a star. # Big Beef. He was really over in that match, instantly, in such a short period of time.
He was debuting, I think, in the last Nova Pro event. Mm-hmm. And as soon as he got out there, there was fans behind us who was yelling, Big Beef!
And I tried to find it. I thought I heard one of the commentators quote saying that I can't believe how over Jake Garvin is, and also how big he's quickly becoming my favourite wrestler at Nova Pro. And when I looked back for it, I couldn't find that tweet anywhere, which really upset me a little bit. And I agree, he was really popular with that. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing that we didn't mention at the end was Coach Gator came into the ring with Isaiah Frazier, and he said that at Gifted IF, that's Isaiah Frazier, that he'd be challenging for the NWA World Heavyweight title versus Nick Aldis. And that's going to happen actually on June 9th, which is where the Commonwealth Cup weekend is. So not only do we have the Commonwealth Cup matches, we actually have Isaiah Frazier fighting for that belt. All right, match 2 was a 6-way match. Mason, do you have the runners and riders for this one?
I have Jackson Stone, Bro Keller, Graham Bell, Marino Tengila.
I'm going to Naglia on that one, but go ahead.
Mikey Banker and Shane. I didn't get the last name.
Okay, and Shane In Your Face, and he's also known as the Savage Gentleman. Now, first of all, we do need to apologise because we did pronounce one person's name, possibly once or possibly even twice. This is his 3rd appearance today. Mikey Banker, true. For some reason, I don't know why we said Mickey. It's pretty clear. It's like with a K. Now, interestingly enough, I actually went to Mick Foley's talk in Joplin, Maryland last night. It was the 20th anniversary of the Hell in the Cell match. And he actually talked about, and you know his name is Michael Foley, right? But he goes by Mick. Okay.
Oh,
And when Vince meets you for the first time, he actually takes you to his house.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. He didn't do that with Foley. He hates Foley apparently, or he did. He never wanted him in. So his meeting with Vince was actually in an office. And he said, you know the first thing he said to me? Yeah. And he said he called him Mikey. So he actually gave him the wrong name the whole time as well. So although it was Mick, if it wasn't Mikey, it was something Mike. It was totally the wrong name anyway. But he always gave him the wrong name. So Mikey Banker, that might be a good sign for you, okay? If it worked for Foley at the beginning of his career, perhaps us messing your name up at the start of the career, perhaps you can go on and emulate some of the things that he did as well. Also, we should have said, with the Savage Gentleman, there was Lady Frost as well who accompanied him, and I remember that part as well. Now, I got a few things about some of these wrestlers. So I didn't know Shane in your face, so I did look. He's an undefeated pro MMA fighter and pro boxer. That's kind of cool, right, Mason?
Yeah.
Until I realised, so am I, and so are you. So, I don't know. I couldn't find out how many wins he has. I'm going to assume it's not 0, because that would be kind of mean. But, yeah, I don't know. One thing we're going to look up, though, is I did see the Big Gold Belt podcast actually interviewed the Savage Gentleman and Lady Frost, and that came out on May the 8th. So I'm a little behind on podcasts because it's been busy with Nova Pro, going to see Mick Foley. So, so I'm going to try and catch up on that one. Marino Tenaglia, I wrote him down as Enzo, one of my notes, because I didn't know what his name was at that time. He had the same sort of hair, though, right? And sort of a similar build as well.
I called him Odell Beckham.
And that's true as well. Yeah, that was a good little insight as well. Now, he's at Twitter on @MindsOfMarino. And I actually wondered afterwards as well. Some people like, I'm trying to think, who was it? Like Bruno Sammartino. Remember we saw the documentary for that, and Bruno Mars was on there? And you're like, what's Bruno Mars? And I was like, he got named after Bruno Sammartino. That's where he got his name from. Now, I'm a big Dan Marino fan. And I'm wondering if Marino's parents were big Dolphins fans as well. And they picked Marino. I've never heard anyone with the first name Marino before.
That might just be his wrestling name.
It could be. That's definitely a possibility as well. And I certainly don't know the answer to that. He also got some nicknames as well. I'm going to give you some of his nicknames. The Sultan of Suave, the Honey Dip Homeboy, Mr. Smooth Operator. Hey, guess where he's from as well? This is kind of cool. From Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
That's just like Enzo, right? Yeah, not really. Brooklyn, Ohio. I've never even heard of Brooklyn, Ohio. We have in-laws from Ohio, so I'm going to be looking up that one as well. Jackson Stone we've seen before. Graham Bell was also there. Now, Graham Bell actually did a promo the day before with Josh Fuller from the first match, and he actually confronted him and said, "Hey, where's my bazooka?" And we talked about this in a previous one. And Josh Fuller actually said Jackson Stone has it. So that was one of the lead-ups to this match as well. And once he got into the ring, he's still handing out all those handouts as well. Have you seen this? Even Brian, the ring announcer, got one. He folded one up and put it in his top pocket, which I thought was a nice touch. And he kept asking everyone, "Where is it?" And actually, the crowd were getting into it as well, because they were shouting, "Have you seen it? Have you seen it?" All right, so that was some of the things that I saw on there. Let me just go into a few more details from this. We actually got one of his pamphlets this time as well. And I actually wrote down what it said on the pamphlet as well, so we can actually see. It says, "Missing, #justice for Zook." I guess that's what he calls his bazooka. Graham Bell's bazooka has been stolen, last seen at Nova Pro during the 11th Dimension on the 11th, 24th, 17th, which we were there for, and we remembered it. Yeah. We remembered seeing it. That was his first appearance, I think. If you have any leads as to the whereabouts of the bazooka, please contact Graham. He misses his friend/artillery greatly. He can be reached on Twitter at Merc with a main, so that's like mercenary as well. At Merc with a main, MANE because of his hair. Yeah. He's not about to give you people his phone number. I thought that was pretty good. And also we had Bro Keller in this one as well, who I think we appeared later, but we'll talk about that. I think he appeared twice for this one. All right, do you want to talk about this match? There was a long intro there.
So, first of all, back to Marino. Mm-hmm. I was watching a Ring of Honor video, and I saw somebody with Marino. His name was Marino.
Is that him?
I don't know. He looked familiar, too.
Is it one of your DVDs?
Yeah, it was Relentless.
Did you look on the list on the back to see who was fighting?
It definitely wasn't this Marino.
Oh, it was a different one? Okay.
He didn't have the same hair, the same tights, or anything like that. His face looked totally different from the other ones.
Now, remember also I talked about recently on our podcast as well, like if you see Tommaso Ciampa without a beard, he looks totally different. Is it something like that that's possible, or just no, it's definitely...
He never had a beard. Neither of them had a beard or a mustache or anything like that.
Okay, so it is a totally different wrestler.
Yes, it's a totally different wrestler. And, that Marino in the Ring of Honor, he was totally a bad guy. He was absolutely... Okay. It does not look like him.
That's just a coincidence. Funny, I've never heard of another first name Marino, and then suddenly there's two together, and they're both wrestlers. Okay, go on and talk about this match. Let's get started.
Jackson Stone, when he says, "Jackson Stone, everybody."
And light, camera, Jackson. Now, I liked him as well, but he's obviously turning heel if he's going to start stealing that, so... I don't know.
I don't know. It's like the Adam Cole. It's so, like, it's like... it's like cool when he says it.
Cool to join in with that.
Jackson Stone, everybody.
Alright, well, as you're not going to start, I'm going to start on this match, because we've got 12 matches to get through. Now, the thing that annoyed me about this match was, Graham Bell was about to do a suicide dive onto the other 5 people, and you know when you get these 6-man matches, that's going to happen. 5 run on the outside, and there's 1 in. You're like, oh, what's going to happen? Suicide dive, obviously, because they all gang together and they fall out. The ref got in the way and stopped it. Okay, what? My first question, why? Any ideas?
Why does he not? Somebody did it before him. It was Marino did it.
Yeah, I don't understand. I've never seen a ref try and stop that. It's perfectly
Marino
illegal,
did it right
and I don't know what
before.
happened. Anyway, he grabbed hold of the ref's hand, went up to the top rope, and he started looking like Undertaker. He starts dancing along that top rope.
Yeah, I thought he was.
Then he lets go of his hand, does a backwards flip, and he took all the other 5 out. I thought that was my favorite.
When he
move in
grabbed
that whole thing.
the ref's hand, I thought he was about to do a test of strength.
I thought he was going to take the ref out to begin with, and I was wondering what was going on that. Now, also in this match, I have Graham Bell did the knees and a stomp on Marino, but Jackson Stone was the one who actually capitalized on this, and this is right at the end of the match. And Jackson Stone actually admitted in the ring, he said, I have your bazooka. He then pinned Graham Bell, and then he said after that, I took your bazooka and you're never getting it back. So that was the finish. That was the finish for that match. And actually, Jackson Stone tweeted afterwards, I took the bazooka. So he admitted it, and this actually happened. I saw the tweet time was 8 p.m. So this was actually after that match, and they were actually outside filming, and Graham Bell actually caught up with him, and then it showed you them both running off into the distance and chasing that. So that's obviously something that's going to get followed up with as well in the future as well. But that's what I have for this match, unless you've got anything to add. No, I thought it was a good match. It was fun. It was one of those, once again, where I'm not always taking notes because I was into the match, and it's sometimes I just got to remind myself, just write something down. But I got a few little things. Go ahead, Mason. Can you tell us who was in match 3?
It was Yuta Wheeler versus Travis Huckabee.
Yeah, it was. And just so we can see who was... I didn't do this for the previous matches because there were so many people. Last time we saw Wheeler Yuta was he defeated Jake Parnell, John Skyler, and Percy Davis in the last meeting that we went to. So he was on a 1-2 record coming into this. And Travis Huckabee, I remembered him from the Singles event, but I couldn't remember who he was against. He actually lost to Cabana Mandan. So I couldn't remember who he was, and I remember he was a technical wrestler, and that was about it.
Travis, he reminds me of Gentleman Jack Gallagher.
You know, as soon as you said he reminds me of, and I hadn't thought of anyone, and that was immediately who came to my head. I think that's a great point. Yes.
Yeah, he's all after the match he bowed to everybody, and Yuta got him in a headlock, and then Travis got out of it, and then and his hand was still grabbing. Yuta was still grabbing his wrist, and then Travis got out of it, and then he did this twirl. It was.
You're trying to demonstrate for me, which is not going to work on a podcast, but that's fine. I thought you were going to talk about when he got out of that move, that he actually ruffled his hair. Because that was one thing he did.
That
he got out
later.
of one of the move, and then he rushed his head through his head.
I'm talking of a different headlock.
Oh, okay, this was earlier in the match. Okay.
Yeah, he did that, and then he got him in another headlock.
And there was a lot of that other stuff, and I have that on here at the start. There was great technical wrestling at the start, lots of reversals. One would get out, and then the next one would get out, and back and forth, and back and forth. And the start match was really cool like that. All right, go ahead, carry on.
And then they kept, somebody would get him in a suplex hold, they would turn around and reverse it. They would do that over and over again, and then Travis Huckabee, he just got Yuta in a headlock. Yuta got out of it, and then he ruffled Travis' head.
So first of all, Travis did it to Yuta, and then that fired Yuta up. He wasn't happy with that, and he went through a lot of his moves. And then at the end of that sort of sequence, he did the same thing back to Travis to try and even it up a little bit. And after that, I didn't really have much. He got the pin. Yuta got the pin. He sort of climbed up his rope. I've seen him do this a few times. He climbs up, jumps down, bounces across the ring, and then sort of does his move and then gets the pin. And actually, did a drop kick. And it's highly effective. It looks really good. And I kind of feel sorry for Travis. He's 0-2 now, but he actually is somebody who I would definitely want to see again. He is really impressive. But on the same tone, I think Wheeler Yuta deserves to be back at 2-2 as well, because he took a couple of losses at the start, but he's definitely a really good wrestler. Yeah. Another one I want to see. And one, really, probably a tie would have been the best thing for that one, because I really did like both of them. I think Wheeler Yuta's got the edge right now, but I certainly definitely want to see Travis Huckabee.
Yeah.
Also, at the end of that match, it was announced that Kurt Stallion is going to be the 14th member in the Commonwealth Cup. So there's going to be 16, so they still got 2 more they're going to announce, and one of those we'll talk about
Who's
a little
Kurt
bit
Stallion?
later. So I looked on Twitter later, and at Titan So Wrestling, that's without the G, They did tweet, people need to see the Kurt Stallion versus Dominic Garrini match. It's the most recent show on Powerbomb TV. What a violent fight. Now, we know Dominic Garrini, obviously, so that might be one. Perhaps that's one I'll watch then if it's a little violent. That might not be a PG one for you, Mason. That was actually on May 10th, that tweet came out. So, obviously, it's somebody who knows Nova Pro, people who are in Nova Pro a little bit. So, we got that one to look forward to as well. All right, match 4, Mason.
Match 4 is Faye Jackson, Penelope Ford, Veda Scott, and injured Laynie Look.
It was. Veda Scott actually defeated Facebook and Jordan Blade in the last event that we went to. In that same one, Angelus Lane defeated Laynie Look. And Faye Jackson lost to Harlow O'Hara, but actually the only reason she lost was because Veda Scott interfered in that match. So there's definitely a bit of history there straight away. Penelope Ford, as far as I can tell, was debuting from Asbury Park, but no Bruce Springsteen music as the entrance. No. I'm like, that's terrible. Technically, Bruce isn't from that, but that's synonymous with that area. So I did look through songs. What could be her entrance music? Now, she actually said later in the match that she's a bad girl. Badlands. That sounds like a perfect song for her.
Oh, I thought it would be bad. Like
That's Michael Jackson, though. Yeah. I've got to try and find something that was Bruce Springsteen because it was Asbury Park. That was the connection there. Okay, so one of the things you just said, Laynie Look, we asked if she injured. And actually, Veda Scott asked about it right at the start. She's like, Laynie, you injured? So that was before the match had even started. All right, what do you have for this match, Mason?
Laynie Look, she comes hobbling around. And Veda Scott, she instantly goes into a chop block to Laynie Look, her injured knee.
And Penelope did as well. They actually both sort of double teamed on her straight away.
Yeah, and Laynie Look rolled out the ring. And it's Penelope Ford and Veda Scott. They're like teaming up to beat down Faye Jackson. Mm-hmm. But Faye Jackson, she's like dancing around and doing all her stuff. And she actually gets Veda Scott into the corner. And she does the move where she like turns around.
Backs into her.
Yeah, backs into her. And in the match, she does something illegal to Faye Jackson. And Veda Scott, and she won't let go because Veda Scott said to the ref, she put her behind to my face.
She did, and the crowd got a little laugh from that one too. And there was a few things that weren't supposed to happen. We quickly found out that Penelope was going to be a heel as well. She licked her fingers and poked Laynie Look in the eyes. Laynie Look didn't really get much luck in that match at all. I would say she got her knee taken out pretty quickly. She got poked in the eyes. Also, I got from Penelope as well, that quote earlier. She climbed up to the top rope and shouts, "I'm a bad girl," and then jumped from the top rope and dived into somebody as well. There was other moves in this one as well. Samoan drop from Faye, which is one of her signature moves as well. Anything else before I go into the finisher?
No.
Or unless you want to do the finisher? For the finisher, it looked like head scissors. She wrapped her legs. Faye Jackson wrapped her legs around Penelope, and the thing that was, she tapped out. Penelope tapped out. The thing that looked weird from our perspective, it looked like she got out of the headlock and then tapped. It looked like she was locked in there, but her head seemed to have moved out. It looked like she was out of the move. But anyway, she tapped out, and that was the end of that one. Now, that was actually the end of the pre-show. They had a 15-minute intermission, so I guess they could get the Powerbomb TV crew ready. And I think also they show a few little videos of highlights from previous matches so they can sort of keep up with what's going on in the backstory. We definitely wanted to go and get an autograph from Graham Bell. We sat next to him, or I sat next to him in the Old Dominion Rumble when he got knocked out. He took a little break, so we went across there, and he had his picture with his bazooka. So we got the picture, and I need to apologise for Graham Bell. I guess I didn't pay for his autograph because he was like, "Oh, you haven't paid me yet." I was like, "Oh no, you did. You gave me change, and that was the money I was supposed to pay him." I was excited because we were trying to pick out the picture and we were trying to get framed. We were trying to get that. Although I think he got his own back. He didn't sign your picture, Mason. When I looked at it later, it says something. It says to Mason, and then there's some sort of comment, but there is no autograph at all. So we got robbed. So Graham Bell, we're coming back for you as well. Okay, so Jackson Stone, hold on to that bazooka for a little bit longer. Okay, once we get our autograph, then you can give it back to him. Okay.
But he said he's never giving it back.
Oh, he did say he's never giving it back. Okay, well, that's perhaps karma for him for not giving us our autograph. So we're going to get you for that one. Now, we then walked over to the far side, and we didn't get any food. I don't remember why we head over that far side. I think it was just because it was out of the way a little bit.
Yeah.
And, I know I went over there. We wanted finally to get our 8x10 with the Ugly Ducklings. Now, we had a massive picture from them from the very first Nova Pro event that we went to. And then since then, we've been collecting those 8x10s, and you've been keeping them in a binder. And we haven't got one for the Ugly Ducklings. So we wanted to go across and get there. And while we were waiting in line, we had a wrestler come across who came to talk to us, which was Mikey Banker. True. So he introduced himself. I knew who he was straight away anyway, because you can tell.
Yeah.
Because he'd been in the ring earlier. So we talked to him a little bit. So we put a little teaser promo out that there was 2 people who came to talk to us who knew about our podcast. And Mikey was one of them. So interesting guy from the area as well. We knew he was 19 years old. We couldn't remember why we knew he was that. That was actually from Twitter. We did find the name of that website as well. It was cagematch.com. That's where we find some of our results from afterwards. But that's not where we found out the dude was 19. So we talked a little bit about his little career earlier. And great guy. Somebody I'd like to have on the podcast, I think, in the future.
Yeah.
Mason. All right, so we're going to put that one out there. So if you're listening, Mikey, if you would like to be on our podcast, we would definitely like to talk to you a little bit more. We enjoyed that 5 minutes with you where we talked about your career so far and found out a little bit more about you. So after that, we did go and get our autograph from the Ugly Ducklings, and always great to talk to those guys. We talked to them as they were walking in, and we talked to them on the left, and we talked to them at different points in the matches as well, and even at the end as well. All right, so just a short intermission, and then that led us into match 5. Now, we already knew who match 5 was going to be ahead of time because we'd actually been given, the person next to us said, would you like to wear one of those vests, those safety vests? So we already knew that it was going to be Ricky Shane Page versus Tim Donst. So I'm going to steal your thunder on that one, Mason. All right, so last time we saw these guys, Tim Donst actually defeated Logan, Easton, LaRoux, and that was actually in the sink or swim match by disqualification. And the last time Ricky Shane Page was here, Arik Royal defeated him in Nova Great Expectations, which was also at the Annandale Volunteer Fire Department. But that was last year, and if I remember correctly, I think he said it was March last year, so it was almost like a year ago. So we haven't seen Ricky Shane Page before. I think you remembered something about Ricky Shane Page there, right, Mason?
He was in the 20,000 thumbtack match against Nick Gage, and now he's fighting Safety First.
Now, that was at Beyond Wrestling, and if I remember correctly, our friends at the Blade Job show actually told us about that match as well a little bit, because I think they were actually there.
Yeah.
Now, perhaps you didn't realise he didn't actually fight in a 20,000 thumbtack match. I'm afraid that's fake news for you. Oh. So I learned something new here. Now, you're looking very puzzled at me right now, so I'm going to tell you, okay? February 28th, on Ricky Shane Page's Twitter feed, it says, I have a confession to make. In my thumbtack match at Beyond Wrestling, there wasn't 20,000. There was only 19,900. When opening the boxes, we missed a box. I'm ashamed of myself, and I couldn't go on telling this lie. So it wasn't that. Now, I don't know. How small is a box of thumbtacks? Well, I guess it's 100. 100 I guess that does work then, doesn't it? 19,900. I guess a box of 100. So they must have found one empty at the end. If they did do that, the attention to detail is pretty cool. Because no one's going to count. No one's going to go, no, there's 16,000 thumbtacks there. Because you just can't judge that number. But that's kind of funny that they found that afterwards.
Yeah, they actually admitted to that, so there's never been a 20,000 thumbtack match before.
Oh, I'm not going to say
as far
that.
As we know.
I'm not going to say that, because it probably has. Mick Foley talked a lot about his thumbtack. I think he's the person that he said did the first thumbtack match.
Oh.
Yesterday, so I learned that one, and he said he regretted it, because he actually got knocked out in the match, the Hell in the Cell match.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, and he actually said afterwards, he said to Undertaker, did I get, the thumbtacks out? Because he couldn't remember. And then he said, don't you remember? He's like, no. And he looked, he had 200 thumbtacks at his shoulder. So Mick Foley was apparently the first person that brought that over, apparently. All right, Ricky Shane Page. Let me tell you a few things about him, Mason, because we don't know him quite as well. He was the 2016 Tournament of Death winner, the 2017 King of Death matches, and the former, I guess it's CZW, I would have said CZW World Champion. So yeah, he's definitely an aggressive fighter. I don't know if you're familiar with death matches. They tend to be a lot more brutal. A lot more blood, barbed wire, that type of thing.
Match.
It's it's kind of a little bit more certainly more than WWE does right now. And who's he fighting in this? Safety First, Tim Donst. So that's an interesting dynamic straight away. All right, do you want to talk about this match?
And Ricky Shane Page, I like his character. I like all of his trash talking. It's really funny. I want him to come back. He's a cool wrestler.
He is, yep.
And in the middle of the match, he brought chairs in, which was the chairs that we actually sit on. The person next to us left, or there was an empty seat. He took that chair, he took another chair from the other side, and he took a trash can full of trash. He grabbed a Sunkist, and it was empty, and then he tried to put it in his mouth and get some, but there was nothing there, and he said...
I hope there was nothing in there. That's disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, and... Yeah, also, the safety squad, Cool Caution Kyle, he came out with some water. He gave it to Tim Donst to stay hydrated. That's obviously safe.
Uh-huh.
And then he gave it to Ricky Shane Page, which was thirsty,
Mhm.
and he got some water. And then the ref,
He was looking after everybody.
Yeah.
And Ricky Shane Page actually said he responded strongly after that. After he'd had his drink, he actually put a move on Tim Donst, and he said, "Oof, that was good. I feel so much better than that." So, yeah, that was kind of one of the safety things. We always wonder, what's he going to do as a safety thing this time? And that was his gimmick this time. Now, one of the things you missed with the safety squad, they actually went in, all the stuff you just talked about and thrown into the ring, they took straight out again. So he didn't even get a chance to use any of that stuff at all. Now, they did actually have a special role as well, because as they were in the ring and they were rolling around the floor, they were about to roll out the edge of the ring, and the safety squad came around and pushed them back in. And Ricky Shane Page was like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "We're trying to stop him falling out, because that's not safe." And then they rolled all the way to the other side of the ring, and they had to sprint around the outside, and then they did the same thing again. So they definitely got in there. Now, I was impressed. Ricky Shane Page obviously had done his homework on this one, because he actually knew what the safety squad was. And he actually accused, and I don't remember his name, the Kyle guy, I don't know what his full name
Cool
is.
Caution Craig.
Cool Caution? Okay.
Cool Caution Craig.
So he said it wasn't that person, so he claimed this was Cool Caution Kyle or somebody. He claimed it was a totally different person.
No, he is Cool Caution Kyle, and he called him
Oh.
Cool Caution.
So the new person was Cool Caution, correct? Because it was
Yeah.
a fake person. And he actually called him, a bootleg Kyle. Now, I'm not sure which of those is which, but to me, one of them looked like Bro Keller.
Yes, Cool Caution Kyle.
And I didn't get a chance to go back and look at the original ones to see who it was, but...
He has the same, look with it.
Sure.
He's tall,
Mhm.
yeah. And I looked inside. He has, caution tape on his face, and if you can...
He has little slits where he can see through.
around it.
Uh-huh.
I saw, he was looking the other side at the trash can, and when we were looking straight there, I saw a Bro Keller. I think it's Bro Keller.
I think he was dead. I'm 100% sure it was Bro Keller on
But
this
we
one.
don't know who...
I wasn't sure who the other one was.
Oh,
I know in one of the previous ones it was that Cabana Man Dan, or however you
Yeah.
say his name. Now, actually, I just realised we missed one thing at the start. As soon as Ricky Shane Page walked in, he pointed at us and on the whole front row, because we were all wearing the jackets, like, what is going on here? He obviously knew if he'd seen Tim Donst's match before, but he played along with it, which I thought was kind of cool. Also on this one, I want to mention what my favourite movement from this one is. Tim Donst climbed up to the second rope. He might have climbed up to the top rope, and he was going to do his dive onto him. I think it's second because he plays it safe, right? And instead of jumping onto Ricky Shane Page, the safety squad came in, picked him up, carried him, moved him across to where Ricky Shane Page was, lowered him a little bit, and then dropped him. And I actually posted the video from that on Twitter. That was my favourite move in that whole thing, but I thought that was really funny. Also, they were on the outside, on our side of the ring as well. They kept trying to reverse moves. They were trying to pull one across, like they throw from one side of the ring to the other side. They kept doing that, but reversing it, and it was like, whoa, who's going to go into the crowd? And then Tim's like, no, stop. Says, look, you see the tape? It says do not cross. So they did. They stopped, and they went back into the ring and did their little thing. He did actually hit him with the trash can a little bit later as well. So there was two things. He threw it into the ring, but then it came out again. But then he did actually hit him with the trash can. And Ricky Shane Page really got into the spirit of the match. He actually put Tim's hat on and then gave him what he called the safest chin hold ever, which I thought was nice for him to do that thing as well. Also got here, there was a superplex on Tim, which definitely isn't safe. But anyway, kick out at 2. And then actually after that, Tim said safety last. And I was like, oh, and then it didn't go well for him. And then at that point, Ricky Shane Page took over. So Tim, okay, you got safety first, always. I think that's, even his t-shirt talks about karma as well. That was bad karma. You got to stick with the safety first thing, I think, from now on. In the end, Tim made him tap. And actually, his finishing move had a special name. I didn't actually remember the finishing move. Any ideas, Mason? I know sometimes you pick up on these things better than me. I found this one online. Apparently, it's called From Dusk Till Donst, which I kind of like, actually. The phrase is From Dusk Till Dawn, but I kind of like that. So he got the win. Now, after this one, I did look up a few things on Twitter, particularly for Ricky Shane Page. He left Ohio at 10:45 a.m., drove to VA Wrestling, wrestled, drove back to Ohio, and arrived at 5:30 a.m. Solo. Easy trip. If you aren't making drives like this, you ain't, I'm going to use a different word, nothing. Shout out to all my dudes and chicks that are out there doing this. And a big blank to the 40 milers that hate and are jealous. I paraphrased a few of the words in there. Also, I saw on this one, Virginia, you're the best. Super fun times at VA Wrestling tonight. Until next time. So, yeah, hopefully we're going to see more of him. Even more impressive later, somebody asked a question. We have handheld hostess fruit pies and pudding pies. Why has nobody developed a handheld chicken pot pie yet? Now, this has nothing to do with wrestling at all. But Ricky Shane Page actually tweeted back, "Go to the UK, brother. Greg's is all over the pasty game. At Flying Mike Bird," I'm not sure who that is, "once told me he finds America's lack of pasties disgusting. I agree." Now, the reason I'm talking about this is that's one of the things. We're going back to England next month. That's one of the first things I want to get done. I want to get to the chip shop, French fries. I want to get my meat pie and chips. I love meat pies. Greg's, you have no idea what Greg's is, I can tell. I can't even think of an equivalent. I guess probably like the Waffle House over here. It's like everyone knows it. It's really famous. Like if you want waffles, that's where you go. If you want a pasty, you go to Greg's. So full credit to Ricky Shane Page. I'm definitely going to pay more attention to his Twitter feed. He sounds like a really cool guy, and we definitely want to see more of him. All right, tell us about match 6 then, Mason.
Match 6 is Jordynne Grace versus Christi Jaynes.
It is. And the last time we saw Christi Jaynes, she was actually fighting with Allie Kat as part of Pow Meow when they lost to the Hooligans, who we'll talk about a little bit later. And last time we saw Jordynne Grace, she defeated Shaz and Mackenzie. All right, do you want to talk about this one?
Jordynne Grace, she keeps suplexing Christi Jaynes, showing off her strength. And there's a test of strength.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right at the start.
And Christi Jaynes gets down on her knees, and then she powers out and comes up. And then she's equal with Jordynne Grace, which she's strong to do that, too.
Now, I'm going to read you my first comment I wrote down. I wasn't optimistic for Christi's chances in this one, but she fought a great match.
Yes.
I thought that she would lose that power battle easily, and she held her own for a lot in that match. All right, do you want to keep going?
And she stood up, and then Jordynne Grace started to go down, but then Jordynne Grace, she just overpowered her.
Now, right at the start there, like I said, they did get in that test of strength thing, and they actually ended up, both of them, they were on the floor, they were both on their backs, their hands were interlocked, and actually the ref did a double count on both of them, and then they rolled over their shoulders like to the side, so just one was down, and then they rolled back again, and it was like starts counting again, then they rolled to the other side, then they both did bridges, notched their backs up so their shoulders weren't touching, and that was kind of cool, and then Jordynne reversed that one as well, and there were some really nice little features in that match right at the start that I really enjoyed watching. Also had Christi Jaynes do a suicide dive right near us, so this could be our first time when we're going to be on Powerbomb TV, Mason. I looked to see if they'd actually listed it today. It's not on right now. I know when they stream them, they normally put them on later, so I don't know how long we have to wait for that one. So that was kind of cool being right in that front row and getting that to happen to us. In the end, Jordynne Grace grabbed Christi Jaynes from the rope. She power slammed them, pin 1, 2, 3. And yes, she's actually now 3-0 this year in 2018. So Jordynne Grace, and I would expect it to be as well. Jordynne Grace is, I think, the top female at that place. And we definitely think that this is a platform for her. This is a step forward. She's definitely going to move on to bigger and better things.
I really think that the most loved female is Allie Kat. Like, everyone is on her side. Like, nobody doesn't like Allie Kat.
And I would agree. And in terms of favorite female wrestler, yeah, because she has the gimmick. We like our little gimmicks. We definitely do. In terms of the best wrestler, I think it's Jordynne Grace.
Yes,
I don't think there's any doubt for that one at all. Now, I actually saw something on PW Ponderings, which I missed. And I don't know. I tried to check on Twitter later, couldn't really find much. It said Christi Jaynes lands on her neck after a shooting star press attempt. And I must have missed that partly. Grace wins after 8 minutes. The Jaynes shooting press attempt was absolutely terrifying. The match ended immediately, and she was quickly taken to the back. Mm-hmm. I guess I just didn't notice that, or if she did, I forgot about it. And there was a few moves where it's like, oh, that must have really hurt. And is she injured? I guess I'd just forgotten with all the other matches because there was a few of those moments. I guess I'd forgotten that one specifically. Now I did look on Christi Jaynes' Twitter feed. I couldn't find anything. I actually looked on Allie Kat's as well because I was like, they're good friends. If anything's happened, she's going to say, hey, well, I hope you're doing well, blah blah blah. Nothing. So I think I think probably nothing did happen for that one, but thank goodness. You just never know with incidents like that. All right, Mason, tell us about match 7.
Match 7 is Dominic Garrini versus Sage Phillips.
Last time we saw Dominic Garrini, he actually got beat by Sage Phillips. It was a qualifying match, and he got beat by... he also defeated Beau Crockett, Bobby Shields, Brokella, and Graham Bell, and that was at the Cupid's Chokehold. Now, Sage Phillips' last match was actually a loss as well. That was against Jonathan Gresham with Stokely Hathaway, which we actually saw there. Now, on May 10th, this is the day before this match happened, Garrini actually tweeted, "Last month you wrestled a man you considered your mentor. This month, someone you should consider your nightmare. See you tomorrow, Sage. Lace them little boots up tight. So he's already talking a little bit of trash there. And I cut out one word from his tweet because we didn't really need that. Now, we also found out Garrini's from Canton, Ohio, which I certainly didn't realise. And I actually listened to the AIW podcast as well, because we went there at Christmas, and I still like listening to them. And Garrini's actually one of the people who does that podcast quite frequently, so that actually made a little more sense to me. All right, I got one thing from the start of the match, and I'm going to let you talk about it. Sage, we like Sage Phillips. Mm-hmm. He actually did come round, and he actually had a smaller version of his glasses, and he put them on this little girl at the front. She did not like them, and she took them off. And the 1% who was next to them did like that, though, because they obviously don't like Sage Phillips, because he has a long-standing battle with Logan, Easton, LaRoux. All right, go ahead, Mason. Talk about this match.
And, yeah, so last time we saw Sage Phillips, he had a black eye, too.
Oh, he did? Yeah, I forgot about that, yeah.
And Dominic Garrini, he comes in, and then I think he steps on something, and then gives it to the ref.
Uh-huh.
And then there's a chance that's like, put on some shoes.
Put some shoes on. I have that as well, yeah. And I think that was first when the Tim Donst match, when they threw the trash into the ring. I think they just missed a little bit, because it's just the way that it goes on that. Now, talking about marks, I also remember at the start of this mark, well, it probably wasn't right at the start, Sage Phillips had some big marks on his chest as well. I think that was from the chops, and it reminded me of the Daniel Bryan after the Greatest Royal Rumble, but you could definitely see that he'd been hit a few times, so anyone who thinks this is fake, you only had to look at that part. Now, after the comment with the shoes also, he tried to put a submission move on him, and he tried to separate his toes, and it was kind of like what Pete Dunne does with the fingers, where he tries to stretch the fingers back, and he tried to do the same thing with Dominic Garrini's toes. It didn't work. Now, one thing about this match, the crowd was really quiet. So much so, and you've said this to me in the match, and I had already thought it at the same point, exactly that same time. You could hear the play calls. Mm-hmm. You could hear exactly what they were going to do, particularly when they're on our side of the ring anyway. But you could hear them whispering what they were going to do to each other. There was a suicide dive by Sage. Garrini had a chokehold into a suplex, and he did like 3 in a row. It was kind of like Brock. I was thinking Suplex City at the time. Sage had a kind of a skull crushing finale move, kick out at 2, and there was octopus stretches in there. It was definitely an ankle lock by Dominic Garrini, which kind of looked like a good ankle. It looked just like that.
I felt like saying you suck.
Sage looked like he'd actually won the match with a pin, but Garini's foot was on the ropes and he couldn't lift his leg up strong enough to get that off. In the end, there was a pile driver by Dominic Garrini and 1, 2, 3. And Garrini was tough in that match. He was really hard on Sage Phillips in that match. Anyway, right at the end, he went across to Sage Phillips and raised his arm. I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that sign of sportsmanship. There is a lot of sportsmanship in Nova Pro, but it didn't look like it fitted in with that match. And then the reason became apparent after that. Once he'd done that, he actually took him out. He put him in a submission move, and he threatened to break his arm. And at this point, the referee came across, Brian came across, the ring announcer, and he got a mic somehow. I missed how he got the mic, but anyway, he got the mic, and basically he said, you cost me the Commonwealth Cup match. And that was what I mentioned earlier, that last match that he fought, he did. Sage Phillips won, and 5 other people didn't get into the Commonwealth Cup. And yeah, he said, if you don't let me in the Commonwealth Cup, I'm going to break his arm. And Brian agreed, so we now know our 15th person in the Commonwealth Cup, I guess.
And I just remembered something. Sage Phillips, he got Dominic Garrini in some sort of hold. And then Dominic Garrini got to the ropes with his feet, and then a fan yelled out, now you need to wash the ropes. Getting back to that.
There was a lot of comments like that. And I don't think they wear shoes when they do MMA fights.
No,
and that's why he doesn't wear shoes. But
Bobby Lashley does, which is weird.
Oh, that is weird.
He does some sort of MMA.
But if you look at like judo, karate, jiu-jitsu, all those things, none of them wear shoes. It's not that big of a deal.
Ronda Rousey wears shoes.
She does? MMA. Okay. Well, she's a wrestler though. I don't think she does in the MMA ring.
But she still does use her jiu-jitsu moves.
Guess so. Match 8. Do you want to tell us who's in this one?
Match 8 is Beau Crockett, Bobby Shields, and John Kermon, the Kerminator.
And the number of times when Bro Keller kept coming in, I kept saying, oh, it's Beau Keller. So I got the reverse problem to what you have right there. We already talked about Sage Phillips defeating Beau Crockett and Bobby Shields, and that was the last time that we saw them outside of the Rumble, but in singles action or tag team matches. And the last time we saw Kerminator was actually when he got beat by Dominic Garrini, who we just talked about in the last match. That was a no ropes match and no such height, so this is actually the first appearance of 2018 for John Kermon in singles action.
So as soon as Beau Crockett came out, there was a guy in the 1%ers gated community. Uh-huh. He pulled out a sign that said, "Beau, leave."
And it looked like a political sign. Yeah. From what I can remember, it was a blue background with white letters. And it looked just like a political sign.
Right.
And it was and it was very funny. And what did you do with that sign?
He ripped it. He couldn't rip it up. It was cardboard.
Yeah.
So he folded it and threw it to the ground. And then he reached back, grabbed another one, and then Beau just left, started running around.
They did. They had multiple signs at the back there. So although he ripped up the first sign, they just got out a second sign and started waving that around as well. All right. What about Bobby Shields when he came out?
Bobby Shields came out with shoes on, with jiu-jitsu stuff, and he wore a white belt.
He did, which is like the lowest belt you can have, right? He said he was doing BJJ, which is Bobby Jiu-Jitsu. That's what he called that anyway. Okay, I got a couple of things for this one. I don't have too much for this one. One of the moments I did have written down was, I can't remember which round it was. I think John had both of them in a move. Terminator had them both in a move. And then they got to the ropes, and the referee said, break. And he was like, which one? He's like, both of them. So they both got that at the same time. And also, right at the end of the match, I didn't even write down the finish for this one. Bobby Shields was out of the ring. We should have said, actually, Beau won this one, right? Beau won this one. And which I remember somebody next to us, I can't remember who their fan was, but they said they didn't care who won, but I think they said as long as it's not Beau. They didn't really care, but they didn't want Beau to win this one.
I wanted the Kermon.
And I wanted Kerminator to win this one as well. And he looked like the stronger of the two, but of course that doesn't always work out this way. Bobby Shields was on the edge of the ring, leant up against the ring, looking really tired and beat up at the end of the match. And the guy next to me was actually wearing a Capitals jersey.
Yeah.
And I told you this previously. Bobby Shields is a big Capitals fan. And I know he went to one of the playoff games already. So they told him, they said, hey, Caps are winning. I think it was 3-1 at that point.
Yeah.
Caps did actually win 4-2. So he's probably, I think, gave him a thumbs up, or he's like, I know, or something. It was actually only a 10-minute match, so I'm guessing he probably knew beforehand, and he probably went straight back and watched some more of that stuff. And I actually thought about that afterwards. I wonder if that's one of the reasons that the crowd was a little lower. I don't know. People might have been going to Capitals games as well. If you got tickets to that playoff game, and you got tickets to, because you don't know at the time when that's coming out, and you got tickets to Nova Pro, I'm going to guess those tickets are probably 10 times more expensive. I heard the cheapest Capitals tickets were like $200, and that was the first round. This is the conference final now, so yeah, it's very possible that people might not have come for that very reason. Okay, Mason, talk to us about Match 9.
Match 9 is the Hooligans, Devin and Mason Cutter, versus the Ugly Ducklings.
Okay, and the last time that we saw the Hooligans, they got defeated by Pow Meow, Allie Kat, and Christi Jaynes. And the last time we saw the Ugly Ducklings, they actually they got defeated by the 1%ers, Bobby Shields, Gunnar Miller, and Logan, Easton, LaRoux. Although, if I remember correctly, it was a little underhand. I think they cheated a little bit on that one, as they often do. Also, just to give you a little bit of history on this one, the Ugly Ducklings actually did defeat the Hooligans at Cupid's Chokehold. So they won the previous time that they actually met. All right, do you want to talk about this match?
The Ugly Ducklings, they came out and they put their hands in the middle and then they do their quack, quack, quack thing. And I got in there for the second time, but you got there for the first time.
It was the first time. I couldn't get there last time. You're small and you were near, so you managed to push your way through to the front and get to do it. But I've been wanting to do it for a while, so it was cool that we got to do that. Well, for me, for the first time. And I'm thinking it's going to be on Powerbomb TV as well.
Yeah. And I actually had a duck with a firefighter's hat on. And I put that in the middle, and I did it, you did it, the duck did it, and then we were doing the quack quack.
Okay, anything else from the match itself?
I can't remember many specifics, but I remember it was a great match.
And I remember the same thing. It had all the signature things that we were looking for. There was a suicide dive near us as well, which, the Ugly Ducklings are always going to do that. They really put their bodies on the line. There was I think the move's Duck Duck Goose. I think that one was one of their moves they had. And this was all before the bell actually rang. I wrote this down, and I was like, oh, ding ding. It's like, oh, we haven't even started yet. So, yeah, those guys were straight at it. And they have multiple fights now. I know we've seen them in Nova Pro. And when I look on Twitter, I see those guys all around the country fighting in Florida and all sorts of different places. So they have a great ring chemistry together for sure. A lot of back and forth. One guy would lead, then the other guy would lead. The thing that I thought was interesting about this one, which seems to be the opposite of what normally happens, Lance is always the one that seems to get the punishment.
Yep.
He seems to get beat up, and then he manages to get back, and then he'll tag Robin, and then he'll have a strong part at the end of the match. And this time it was Rob. Rob was the one who was in trouble this time. Could not get that tag in at all. And actually, the way he managed to get back, another incident with feet. The Cutter brothers don't wear shoes either. Nope. He actually bit his foot, or he gave the appearance that he bit his foot, and he shouted, you son of a duck. And there was more requests like, well, why don't you wear some shoes? Because the crowd was shouting that thing because they were interested in that. Now, one little thing I noticed from Rob, which I hadn't noticed normally, and I don't know if that's because we were closer to they being in front, the spittle coming out of Rob's mouth.
Yeah.
Like, when he gets a hit, you can see some of that spittle coming out there. He really sells it. And to me, that made it all the more impressive. But yeah, when he takes a hit, it's like on the movies when you see that and they get hit, you can see the spit coming out the side of the mouth and that. You can see that on him. I thought it looked really impressive. I didn't see any other wrestler that did that.
No.
Because I was watching afterwards. I was like, is that just... It really caught my eye. I was like, whoa. There was a dive from the top row, and both of the brothers actually covered Lance, and we thought, that's it. But he kicked out at 2, so good for Lance for doing that. Launchpad McQuack was another signature move, but no one home for this one. And in the end, Rob took the pile driver, and he did take the loss. And I put at the end, wow. I was trying to keep up, and I couldn't keep up. I just wanted to watch the match, but I was like, I got to put something down. And it was a longer match, same as before. They get so much into their matches. I did notice one more thing, and I didn't see this before. Coach Mikey's playboard, it says win. That was all it said on it. He's got the basketball court. It just says win on it.
But that wasn't a new board, because I remember that they changed the background, and the board before that was a hockey ring.
Oh, so they have different ones. Oh, okay. I know the other side said quack, 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 or something like that, and I was like, that's just a generic duck thing, but I kind of like that one.
And the thing I said on A3 was that Rob had... No, A2 or something like that. He had...
One of those, 1, 2, or 3, right? Yeah, we got it. He had tattoos of wings on his back, and I told you... You did. You pointed that out. Yes, I think that was A3, and you pointed that out. And yeah,
but the Ugly Ducklings were there in A3.
Yeah, they were. They fought the 1%ers.
Oh, yeah, it was A3 then.
Yep. Alright, let's move on to match 10. This is a big one. I thought this could have been easily the main event.
It was Gunnar Miller versus Arik Royal.
Okay, and the last time we saw both of these guys was actually in the Rumble, and Arik Royal actually won the whole thing, and he actually eliminated Gunnar Miller, I believe, if I remember correct.
Yep.
Prior to that, though, the last time that they fought was actually in singles action, and Gunnar Miller won that one. So there's obviously a lot of a rivalry for this one. Right at the start, Gunnar's drinking his Fiji water from the 1%ers, and Arik's drinking from the people's water, as he described it. So they're already setting up right at the start the fact that this is clearly a 1% match versus a non-1% match. The gated community versus everybody else. So do you want to talk about this match?
So that I was terrified of them jumping outside the ring because they're like so huge.
And they'll put their bodies on the line as well. Gunnar certainly will, because it's like him being a football player. It's just like a tackle for him. It's no different from him. And he actually mentioned on a tweet later that it's basically like football to him, or part of it can be like that.
And they're like huge guys, and I was like, they better not jump outside the ring this side, and they didn't. So
they came on the outside, but they didn't come crashing into you, which was good.
Also, Gunnar, Arik, he had a headband on, we think. And he took it out on the outside, and nobody picked it up. So after the match, nobody got it. Brian didn't get it.
Yeah, Brian looked at it and ignored it.
Yeah,
Normally, people come around and take up all that stuff. Because you said, "Can I get it?" I was like, "No, just leave it. Let's see." Nobody picked it up. So the match after that, we picked it up. So Arik, if you want it back, we have it. We're coming to you next time anyway. We want an autograph. So we're going to come and get the photo and the autograph, and well, you can always wear it, and we'll see. He's probably not listening to this right now, but you can wear his headband in the picture, right? You thought it was an armband to begin with, which was hilarious, because you put it over your arm, and it's like, how big is his arm? Because we noticed he had one covering on one arm, but then he didn't have one on the other. So I think that's why we thought, we're like, oh, it just came off his arm.
It was laying down like an armband, and it was like lying down, and there's a hole in the middle, and we didn't see that because it was lying down like that, and it looked exactly like an armband.
So you got Logan's tape from his wrists.
Yeah.
You got Arik's headband. You're getting quite a little collection there of game-used memorials.
Where we both got Graham Bell's paper.
Oh, we did. We got Graham Bell's paper.
I didn't even notice the
We're
Ugly
framing
Ducklings.
that, by the way. That's going in there.
I didn't even know Ugly Ducklings threw I didn't even see it. The Jeff Gordon.
You went to the bathroom.
Oh.
I picked that. That's why you missed that one. Yeah, that was at the pre one. He threw it a long way, and it was like a baseball thing, because I got a little bit of a clap and like, nice catch and all that stuff. And yeah, I gave it to Jackson. And we found out afterwards, I don't think we talked about it on the podcast. We can't do it actually, because I heard this on the podcast last week. I'm trying to remember what it's called, the Squared Circle podcast. I think that's what it's called. And they talked about the fact that they love to play those claw games when they're traveling around, and then they put that stuff on the merchandise table. I'm going to guess that's where it came from. I meant to ask Rob, and I totally forgot to ask him about that one. So yeah, we got a few little things we picked up from different events now. All right, let me go back into the match. Let me see what I got on here as well. Yes, Arik Royal was hitting Gunnar Miller right in the corner, and he was about to move on to something else, and the crowd goes, one more time. So he sort of asked him, like, you want to go one more time? And they were like, yeah. And then he did, sure enough, he gave him one more chop. Also, he does his cry. What's the cry does? Is it yay?
Yeah, it's yay.
Yeah, so that was going on. So he did a lot of things that involved the crowd, and the crowd responded to that. And also, while he was in near the ring post where we were sat, he shouted, what goes up? And the crowd goes, must come down, because he was about to throw him up in the air. So he has a few things where people know how to respond. There was one other one that he said, and I didn't know what he said, and everyone responded.
Planet of Ace, something like that?
Might be. And I was like, okay, I obviously don't know all the little things for that. Now, you actually picked up on this one as well, but you didn't write this one down. And I noticed it as well, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Gunnar was chewing gum. Now, you actually said they both were.
Yeah, because they were outside fighting, and Arik Royal was laying down right next to us, and I saw that he started chewing, and then he pushed the gum to the top of his mouth so it won't fall.
Okay.
And so I saw a piece of green, and it was gum. So.
Now, the other thing I noticed, Ricky Shane Page wears face jewelry as well.
Yeah.
He's got that ring in like his lip and whatever. Yeah. I don't know. When I used to do PE and anything, you were never allowed to do any of that stuff. It was like dangerous. What if it gets ripped out of your mouth? Or what if you choke on the gum or anything? So I don't know. I thought that was something I'd not noticed before.
Well, it's no different from Warhorse getting his turnbuckle ripped.
Well, that was by accident now.
Yeah.
That's a little different. But they're choosing to... I don't know. I would have thought that was something that... I'm trying to think. Can you think of any WWE wrestlers that chew gum when they're wrestling?
Well, you're far away. You can't see inside your mouth.
When on the camera, though, you can sort of see when they zoom in on their faces. I don't know. It's something I'm going to be looking more closely at. I was kind of surprised. More particularly the jewelry thing. I don't know. Perhaps it's... I guess if you sign a waiver, you can do anything you want. Look, you can do this, but just be aware it might be damaging to your own career or something like that. All right, Gunnar received 3 suplexes, and this is the first time I've ever seen him look hurt. Anything that was not 100%. He always just looks so strong, and you always think he looks invincible. To me, and it's not going to mean anything to you, it reminded me of Rocky IV. Ivan Drago, he looked totally unbeatable, and then Rocky finally comes back at him, and you could see he's hurt him. It reminded me just like that film. I've never seen Gunnar look injured. And I'm sure he never looked hurt before. I'm sure he wasn't. I'm sure he was playing a little bit. But he sold it really well. I thought it was really good. And in the end, I didn't like. A low blow and Gunnar wins. And having just said on our podcast, we're so tired of Nakamura and AJ doing things like that. Mainly Nakamura. To win on a low blow, I thought that was really bad.
But the thing is, Gunnar Miller's a strong, tough guy. Why would he do a low blow? It's like Braun Strowman giving the Big Show a low blow.
He was in trouble in this match, so he went to that. Now, that actually takes the series now to, well, if we include winning the Rumble as one of the things, Arik's got 1 win the Rumble, and Gunnar's got 2. So obviously the next time it's going to be Arik, right? If this story keeps going back and forth. This story's not.
I still think it's Gunnar.
This story is not over. All right, this is my thing, what's going to happen. So Arik winning the Rumble, he got to choose his first round opponent, Logan. So I think he's going to beat Logan in round 1, and I think he's going to face Gunnar in the final, and I think he's going to beat Gunnar. So it's going to, this time the 1% are not going to get what they want. I think it's going to be Arik Royal that gets what he wants. I know that's a lot of things, winning the Rumble and the Commonwealth Cup, but I can't see any way that Gunnar is not facing Arik again. The only way I can see it happening is Gunnar faces Arik in like the semi-final or something. Gunnar wins, and then I don't know if Gunnar's going to win, losing the final or something, but anyway, we'll see. That's my prediction.
I think it's somebody that needs a big push. That, like, has the potential to be, like, the Commonwealth Cup holder.
I'll tell you one thing I do think about the Commonwealth Cup. There's a lot of big names coming into this who aren't from Nova Pro. I don't think any of them are winning it.
Because
I think that no, and there is from the guy side as well. I just don't think some of those people are going to win it. I think they want to be able to keep it at Nova, and I think it's going to be one of those guys. And at some point, one of them will have to put somebody over, perhaps in the final or something like that. But anyway, I think Arik's making the final.
I really don't think he's going to win, though.
Okay. All right. Any predictions for you, then? We don't normally do predictions for Nova Pro, but it seems we have some idea.
I think it's Warhorse.
He's not even in that, so that's a terrible pick. This is a flash. I'm getting flashbacks to your greatest Royal Rumble picks, which obviously we don't do on Nova Pro.
I don't even know.
Your picks, and you had 50 people you could pick from, and you made 3 picks.
I didn't know.
You made 1 pick. You made a second pick, and then you went for an outside pick. And of your 3 picks, not one of them even made the 50. So Warhorse fits perfectly with your current stand on picking for Rumbles.
Okay.
Whereas I picked Braun Strowman, and Braun Strowman won.
I'm going
so
Jordynne
I'm
Grace.
sticking with Arik Royal, but okay, who are you going with?
Jordynne Grace.
Well, in the female side, okay, I agree. I'm okay with that pick. I think Jordynne Grace can easily win that one as well.
But Arik Royal already won the Rumble,
right.
and Gunnar Miller, he's already won 2 matches against him. Logan.
So, having said that, but Jordynne Grace is 3-0 this year, but you're okay with Jordynne Grace winning it. Alright, who's your pick, Mason?
She
So we got it on
hasn't
record.
won yet. Oh,
Who have we got on your record?
Tim Donst.
Who's not even in it, I don't think.
Oh.
I don't know. He might be, unless he was an automatic pick, but I'm not
If
sure.
he's not, Dominic Garrini.
Oh, he is in it now, isn't he? Yeah. Alright, we'll have to see
It
that.
sets it up.
So
He wasn't even supposed to be in
There is
but he
one
won.
space that hasn't been announced yet, so it's possible. So Warhorse was your first pick. Tim Donst is your second pick. Tim must be in it, surely. I just don't remember hearing his name mentioned. He might well be in it. The only thing I have with that is I like his gimmick matches. I don't think you can do a gimmick 4 times in a row because you've got to win 4 matches to win the Commonwealth Cup. And then Dominic Garrini. So, all right, we'll see how that goes on our next episode. Now, after this, there was a tweet from Gunnar saying a 1% celebration for the Cap. That's the captain, the corporate captain. The Cap 2, the Ace 0. Arik Royal should be called the Nothing of VA Wrestling. Now, I obviously forgot about the Dominion Rumble, but anyway, we'll ignore that part of it. Now, somebody actually quoted something that Gunnar Miller said that I totally missed. Gunnar said, "These people pay for entertainment. I get paid to win." Like, wow, I didn't even hear that. And Gunnar actually acknowledges, like, wow, good ears from that. Now, the person who quoted that was Maddie, which is at Madalorian. And I looked at the picture, and it's somebody with blue hair and a female. Now, I'm pretty sure that was the person who gave us the vest then, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not very good with faces at all, but I'm not great with colours, being colourblind earlier. But the fact that was somebody with blue hair, I think that's got to narrow it down. All right, Mason, tell us who was in match 11.
Allie Kat versus Solo Darling.
It was, and we'd already decided at the end of match 10 because we knew there wasn't going to be any real intermissions for this one about food. And I said, "Are you hungry?" And you said yes. I said, "All right, let's go get some food." We had no idea who was in this match because if I'd have known it was Allie Kat, I probably would have stayed actually. But we went across anyway. So we went to get some hot dogs. You actually went to the bathroom as well. We had to do all that stuff. Anyway, so we actually missed a lot of this match. What I do have for this one though is I do remember from the far side of the room looking. Solo Darling came off the ring, did a tornado DDT on the outside of the ring.
That's the only thing I remember.
And I said, "That's solid floor." And I was like, wow, it's hard. It's right where we sat. There's no padding there at all. And actually, I missed the end of this one, but I think you caught the end of it. Because I'd said, did Allie win? Allie did win.
I know, I don't remember.
And you don't remember
I just
it?
saw her walking.
Oh, okay. And I had to look. It said it was a headbutt and a 1, 2, 3. I got that from the PW page. PW Ponderings, I think it's called.
Yeah, PW.
Yeah. So we missed a lot of that. Now, I did hear at the end, because we went back to our seats at that point, because we were already eating our hot dogs. It said, "Please come back to Solo Darling."
Yeah.
Now, the problem with that is she already did. That was her coming back.
Yeah.
She beat Tash, is it Tash or Tasha Steeles? I'm not sure. At Ripper to Shreds, and then, And interestingly, from that one, the next match after that was Allie Kat versus Holiday. So those two were actually fighting in consecutive matches at Rip Her to Shreds. But I would agree. Solo Darling is definitely a person I would like to come back again. But that was the only person they called that for all night, actually. All those things that we often hear at the wrestling matches, I heard that this is awesome. I heard that in there. But yeah, please come back. We've had a few of those recently. That was the only one I actually heard for that.
I really want to see, Marino Tangila.
Marino Tenaglia. Okay.
Tenaglia,
Now
yeah.
let me segue this into that. So as she went to the bathroom and we were waiting in line for hot dogs, who was ahead of us? Marino Tenaglia. Because I recognised, I was like, oh, there's your person who you thought was Odell Beckham. That's the person I thought looked like Enzo. I did get a quote from him. Life is good, life is great, and it's up to you to make it that way. # good times, # good vibes. I say I got a quote. I read it from his Twitter feed. So he's another person I would like to come back. And somebody from the gated community was talking to him as well and said what a good match he had. I didn't talk to him because I didn't know his name at that point. And I could have just said good match, but I don't know. I felt kind of silly not doing that. Now, also, we put out the teaser and said there was 2 wrestlers who we talked to, and one of them issued you the challenge. Now, you were dying to mention this earlier, but I want to see if people are still listening at this point. This was, I think, our longest episode, Mason. Hold on, let's have a look. We're way over an hour already. And as we were about to eat our hot dogs, Josh Fuller was there. Mm-hmm. And he shouted across to you, "Go on, say something mean about me on your podcast. I dare you. Or I challenge you."
Bite your head off.
And bite your head off. So, so one, it was cool that he even knew we had a podcast. He obviously has heard what we've said, because we've said he's a heel. We have said a few things about him. So I guess the question is, Mason, he challenged you. He didn't challenge me. Do you have anything mean to say about Josh Fuller? You had 2 days to think about this as well. All right, the floor is all yours, sir.
He says Matt Buckler is his daddy, which it really isn't.
Okay,
but,
let me talk about that
okay.
one as well afterwards. Okay, let's get this out of the way, and then you can do your little bit. So after we talked to him, we went back to him. I said, "All right, you got to clear this up for us." He thinks that Matt Buckler's your dad. I was like, "It's clearly not, right?" And no, he confirmed that. That's clearly not his dad. I know Josh Buckler. I know Josh is younger, but Matt. I don't know who that's most insulting to, actually. I thought about that later. Is that more insulting to Josh Buckler that you look young, or is that more insulting to Matt Buckler that you look like you could be his dad? I think it might be a little bit of both. So I don't know. Anyway, all right, go ahead. You got your chance. What do you got to say to Mr. Fuller?
So Josh, he says Matt Buckler, his dad, and he says his daddy bought him crab wrestling. He didn't earn it, and he didn't earn his place in crab wrestling. Like he said, he bought it. He didn't try out like most people probably because he said he bought it.
Sounds like he fits in perfectly with that gated community then, right? So they didn't earn it; they were just given it. Then is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
All right, so that could be.
So he said he bought it, which he really. How do you earn something and buy it?
That's a good question. All right, we'll.
And it's not even his money that he earned. It was his dad.
All right, we'll throw that back to Mr. Fuller, and then next time, hopefully, is at the Commonwealth Cup. Unfortunately, the one after that, we're not going to be there. Otherwise, this is going to be a very slow burner. So I know he's got Twitter as well. If he wants to talk to you directly at MGB Wrestling Pod, and he does follow you as well, and so does Mikey Banker as well. So they definitely have the opportunity if they want to respond to your comments today. Okay, we also did find out at that point that's how we found out. We said Mikey Banker's name wrong because Josh actually told us, so we appreciate that. Although I think Josh wanted us to keep calling him Mickey.
Yeah.
He's on the heel even when he's talking to us, but he stayed in character, which I thought was really cool. Also during that match as well, we got Jordynne Grace's autograph because we saw she was out there. That was one that we really wanted. And to be honest, I was playing on the camera trying to get and watching the Allie Kat match. She was doing the same. She wanted to see it, but she was at a desk, so I thought it was fair enough that we asked if we could get that autograph. I know that's one we wanted for a while, and as we left, we put it straight in the back of the car, and you said to me, she's definitely going further than this. And it was. For me, it was one of the big autographs. I was kind of nervous going up to it. I know it sounds really silly, but I'm so impressed with her wrestling ability, and it was one that we kind of been, I don't know, I guess I'm a little shy. Even going up, it's kind of silly because obviously that's the day to sell merch, but it was one that I'd wanted for a long time, that autograph, and I'm glad we got that one in the collection now. Alright, match 12, Mason, the last match.
It's Jonathan Gresham versus Logan, Easton, LaRoux, and Hot Sauce Tracy Williams.
It is, and Hot Sauce is the champion who's coming in to defend his title. The 1%ers, Bobby Shields, Gunnar Miller, and Logan, Easton, LaRoux defeated the Ugly Ducklings, so that was Logan's last match. Jonathan Gresham was against Sage Phillips, which we talked about earlier as well. And John Kermon actually defeated Tracy Williams the last time he was at Nova Pro. So that was a long time ago. I think that was over a year ago. We certainly didn't see that one. Okay. All right, do you want to talk about this match?
Hot Sauce Tracy Williams, I really think we already... Yeah, I know we saw him at AIW, but I think at AIW he was wearing a night costume.
Yeah, and I seem to remember that a little bit as well.
Last time, I thought he didn't have a beard. I thought he was, like, average height, like Jonathan Gresham's height. And I remember this 4-year-old girl yelling out...
He was tall, yeah.
Yeah, Hot Sauce. Hot Sauce.
That's right. Now, and if you'd mentioned that before, because I was like, I know we saw him at AIW, but I couldn't remember much. Now you mention that, I totally remember that. And yes, he did. I definitely remember that girl shouting that out. But yeah, you could see the height differential between Gresham and Williams once they eventually did get into the ring. Now, at the start of this match, Logan tried to do his 1%. He tried to put up his index finger and the crowd goes, 1%. And that's normally the gated community that will say the 1%, and then the rest of the crowd normally says sucks. But anyway, and he didn't get to do that. Jonathan Gresham knocked his arm down, which I kind of liked, and then he'd not taken the hint. He did it again. Put both hands up in the air with 1%ers, and actually he took a kick from both of them as well. So it was pretty clear straight away that Tracy Williams and Jonathan Gresham were not going to make this easy on Logan, Easton, LaRoux. Do you have anything?
Not really. I was so into the match.
So actually at this point, so they did sort of kind of team up on Logan to begin with. And then I can't remember what happened. I think one of them tried to pin one of the others. Like, say, hey, what's going on? I thought we were like working together. And at that point, Gresham actually hit Williams. And it was like, woo! And Logan tries to stir it up, and he said, and then one of them hit them back, and then he said, hey, he hit you harder than you hit him. And he's trying to get him fired up so they increasingly hit each other harder and harder and harder. And it worked for a little bit, but anyway, that little segment ended. Logan did a suicide dive right next to you, Mason. So thankfully you didn't get your Arik Royal dive, which you're worried about. But Logan was really close to
But
you.
it was Jonathan Gresham, which I'm glad he's not the biggest of people.
Correct, it wasn't. And it didn't hurt at all, did it? So it was fine. It was kind of fun.
It just scooted me back a lot.
Yeah. And we're talking about AIW, when they hit, because we were front row for that was the first time we'd ever been front row, and it was kind of like a little Christmas present. They banged into you. They had the bicycle frame ones, and it's solid metal. And I put my feet up against them, and it got pushed back into me. I remember hurting my ankle, hurting my knee. And after that, I made sure I sort of pushed against the thing so I could absorb the pressure a little bit. But yeah, no, it was fine. It was fine on that one. I've also got Logan doing a flare. Woo! I don't remember that, actually. Woo! I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wrote it down.
He was trying to do a figure 4.
Oh, okay.
And then he said, woo! And then Jonathan Gresham came in and kicked him, and then...
Now, one of the cool things that I did like in this one was there was a leg lock applied, and I'm not sure which way around it was. It was either Williams onto Gresham or vice versa. And then I know they reversed the move to put the pressure the other way around.
Tracy Williams on Gresham.
And then Gresham reversed it, so Williams was actually facing the other way. And then part that I liked, Logan actually got back of Williams' back and actually applied the crossface, or actually I think it says the camel clutch on the other website. I guess I'm getting my moves mixed up, unless you can call them both. I actually took a picture of that. That's my favourite picture in the whole thing. But I like the combination of those three all being involved at the same time.
It's like the Terminator.
Mm-hmm. Now, there was one thing on this that somebody from the side of us called out. When they grabbed hold of the rope, they were like, break, and the refs go, 1, 2. And he said, hey, there's no break on a triple threat match. It's like no disqualification. There's no breaks or anything like that. And they didn't pay any attention to it. And then later in the match, same thing happened again. And he called out again. He's like, it's a triple threat match. There's no... So that was one thing from that match that we didn't get resolved at all. But it sounded like they were confused on the rules.
That's probably the ref. That's what they were talking about with the ref, probably.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know what happened with that. So unless it was a special stipulation or something, but yeah, that was one thing I certainly picked up from that match. The person next to us clearly knew their rules for this one. What else have we got? Oh, Williams won the match in the end. There was a pile driver. He pinned Logan, Easton, LaRoux for a 3. And then that looked like it was it. He retained his title, and all the other two have actually held that title at some point. So. And then that looked like that was the end of the match. Williams got out the ring, Logan got out the ring, and at the end of the match, we thought it was it. We were about getting up ready to leave.
The Dream Team came in and then kicked Jonathan Gresham in the face, and I got so caught up in the moment, I was scared that he was about to come punch me in the face.
It was intimidating, and it was unexpected as well. Yeah, he just ran in there, took him out, and then sort of said his phrase, don't cross the Dream Team, and then he left.
And he's one person, and he said the Dream Team.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it's a tag team.
Possibly. Now, when I heard Dream Team, I thought of the 1992 Olympic basketball team, US basketball team, Michael Jordan and all those guys, but I'm sure it's nothing to do with that as well. Now, after that concluded the thing. We had one more thing we wanted to do. We missed, actually, Solo Darling's dog, K9 Magnum. We didn't want to get that autograph. Now, before we talk about that right at the end, there's a couple of things that you noticed in that match, and not in the match, but sorry, in the whole Nova Pro event that either didn't happen or some observations from you. Can you remember?
Well, I noticed... there was no Stokely Hathaway, Jonathan Gresham's coach.
Correct, and I can tell you why now. The person that came in is actually, his name is Thomas Sharp, and he was sent in by Stokely Hathaway to attack Gresham. So they've obviously had a falling out now. So I don't know what we missed there. There was obviously something that we'd missed.
Yeah, they were having these disagreements on the last Nova Pro, and he probably So I did not know that.
So that's why we didn't see Stokely Hathaway. So I guess that's who Stokely Hathaway is. Stokely sent the Dream Team, correct. So that was one thing. There was one other good observation that you made as well.
I also know that there's no sweater on Logan.
Yeah, somebody asked him about that as well. That's kind of his thing. I wonder why that was. Did he answer that?
No.
Okay, all right.
The thing that probably nobody really noticed was that I noticed there's no streamer. Not one streamer.
And when you told me that afterwards, I was like, oh yeah. It was kind of weird. I don't understand that. I know there was a slightly smaller crowd there, but yeah, not one streamer. And there was matches like Jordan Grace normally gets streamers. Tim Donst normally gets streamers. Ugly Ducklings gets nothing. I don't know. That was really weird. And I actually feel bad because I forgot to buy streamers. Because that was something I thought about. You enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's something we can do. And yeah, I totally forgot about it. Yeah, I wonder why. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that one. So, like I said, at the end, we did want to go see at K9_Magnum. That's the dog of Solo Darling. And Yeah, I felt kind of bad that we missed Solo Darling's match, because we did definitely want to go see her. And I feel even worse, we got the dog's autograph, and we totally forgot to ask Solo Darling's. I think I remember the reason why now, actually. We did get the autograph and all that. The guy who was behind us asked me, can I take a picture? And I made sure that he got a picture with Solo Darling, and then I kind of got sidetracked, and yeah, so I think we forgot that way. But next time, we'll definitely go and do that.
And I think Officer Magnum was the second wrestler that I was taller than.
I think you're probably right. I think the other one must have been Hornswoggle.
Yes.
It was. But no, what a really nice dog. A wrestling dog. We thought that was a kind of cool gimmick at the last time she was there at the I think it was a sinkhole swim. I think she was actually at the main event. I don't think she was part of the tryout show. I think she was part of the main event. I can't remember what it was called though. Rip Her to Shreds. And we didn't realise at the time that the dog was signing autographs, so she puts the pen in like the dog's paw and then sort of writes its name. Yeah, I think that's nice. I think that's definitely a unique item. I like things like that. We like our little gimmicks as well, so that was definitely a good thing to end that with. Now, I wanted to ask you, I posted on Twitter, actually on your behalf, I said, having woken up the next day, I definitely think that the Tim Donst match against Ricky Shane Page was the best match, although I might be biased, and then I posted the picture that you took with him. I didn't say necessarily technically the best match, but it was the most entertaining match. Did you have a favourite match?
My favourite match was the Tim Donst match.
Okay, so I did speak for you pretty reasonably. Now, the two that we normally say is Tim Donst and the Ugly Ducklings. That's normally the ones we would go for, right? Now, actually, that wasn't the number one match. Do you want to try and predict the number one match? Well, certainly on the reviews that I saw anyway, from the PW Ponderings.
Hot Sauce?
It was, and he gave that one 3.75 stars. Ugly Ducklings got 3.5, and that was a good match. I definitely like that. And the Tim Donst match actually got 3 stars, and overall they gave it a B for the whole thing. So I thought it was a reasonable one that we picked. I don't think it was a totally out there match. And actually, somebody else, at the end, it says a list of matches you would like and a list of matches that you wouldn't like. There was nothing on the ones you wouldn't like. And on the ones that you would like, it was a huge long list. So it shows you the quality of some of that matches. And somebody else posted on Twitter as well, sort of a similar thing. It's like, oh man, you got to see, I've already watched this match. It was all brilliant. And then they said, I think I actually just mentioned half the card. And I could have done that as well. If you'd asked me which matches did I like, I could have easily picked half of that card and probably even more. I thought it was a great pay-per-view. Yeah. I really enjoyed it.
Way better than Backlash.
Oh my goodness, way better than Backlash. Yeah, and I do wonder now, things like that, by sitting so close to the front, the things that you do see, the intangibles, just that closer action, I wonder if that is actually detracting from WWE.
And you get to talk to the wrestlers, too, while they're in the ring.
You get to talk to them.
Like, you can shout out things.
You can interact with them, in the ring.
And they'll talk back to you, but in WWE, they'll just ignore you.
And, well, you can't because it's on TV as well, so you don't have that thing. And I did wonder that. Did I hate the WWE last week so much because of all the Nova Pro stuff we've been doing recently? And I don't have the answer to that, except for looking on Twitter, I don't think Backlash was generally well received. But I do wonder if that's one of the reasons why I'm enjoying the independent scene far more than that interactivity that you have. You can see them move so much closer. There are people doing suicide dives to the outside while you're there. I think that's really cool. All right, don't forget you can contact us at MGB Wrestling Pod. You can contact me at Mr. Bagshaw. You can email us. We are using that email now. We got an email the other day. You can email us at mgbwrestlingpod@gmail.com. And I think that does it for us. I think the Commonwealth Cup is not until the first week of June. I think it's around June 8th, June 9th or something. So I think we've got about 4 weeks until that. And that'll be our episode A5. I think it's quite possible we'll split that up into 3 because that's actually 3 separate events. It's going to be Friday evening, Saturday afternoon, and Saturday evening as well. So that's going to be kind of a big one. And also with us going to England, that might be one we can release, Mason, when we're partially in England as well.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
The music was Zigzag by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0, http://creativecommons.org/licenses/by/3.0/.
M is for Mason.
G is for Graham.
B for Batja.
This is the MGB Wrestling Podcast, the podcast with PG-rated material accessible to wrestling fans.